You're watching Experience Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
What's up, the internet? It's Kyle. I know my video looks dark. Don't start with me. Okay. I have a twitch over my right eye, and it's making me crazy. And as such, I'm not turning the lights on. I said what I said. This is In Stores This Week, where we talk about new books that are in stores this week. And we read 10 books. One of them was a trade, which I didn't read, but we'll talk about that later because it was a trade, and I'm not reading a trade. Especially because I read those books when they came out originally the first time. So we're going to get into it here on In Stores This Week with Kyle, Dan, and Jay, who spelled his name wrong on his little card here. So we're going to get started here in just a minute. What's up, Cool Gamer? Stick around. This is going to get interesting. There we go.
In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight.
Let me know when I can turn my headphones back up. I had to turn that down. There we go. All right. Welcome to In Stores This Week, everybody. I'm Kyle. That is Dan, and that's and Jay. Yes. Those are our names now.
Okay.
Forever.
Yep.
Awesome.
All right.
So, it's been a few weeks since Dan's been here. Things have changed, Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah. We now hate every book, regardless of whether it's good or not. I just read this. We were back to just reading the solicitations. And this show is basically turned into make fun of Sean for an hour.
Cool.
Right.
I like the new format.
We figured that was a stronger choice than what we had been doing, which was trying.
Yes.
So we should just get into it because we did have 10 books this week. Mm-hmm. And we're going to start with the book that was the longest.
Well, that's the wrong cover, but
that's the one that is solicited to be out this week. Now, I will say this. The person who does Dynamite's trade paperback and hardcover solicitation maybe needs to get their crap together because according to them, Karma was out last week, and that's not out until September. I know I checked with Dan.
Yes.
So, who knows? There's a boy.
Yeah, this is the oversized omnibus. It's volume 1 that's out this week, and it collects the first 30 issues of The Boys. Everything from Name of the Game to the first 30 issues. I mean, it is big. And they're breaking it down into 3 volumes, and that's why I put it on the list this week, was just to give it a mention, being that The Boys, again, is currently airing and is very popular, and they haven't lost a beat with the series at all. So, yeah, and so I definitely wanted to bring this up, that we've got the first volume coming out this week, so take a look at it, and if you haven't been reading The Boys, if you haven't caught up, but Dynamite's been doing great about getting the books out there so that people can catch up. And this oversized omnibus, again, the first 30 issues collected in one in a hardcover omnibus is an awesome deal. And there'll be a 3-volume set when it's all done. But besides the series, it's also going to have the Herogasm, the Highland Laddie, all the different, the Butcher Baker, Candlestick Maker, and Dear Becky in that collection as well. So you get all of the boys in the 3 sets. So you definitely want to take a look at the first one when it comes out this week. But your retailers should have a lot of different ways that you could pick up on the boys. So check it out when you go in the stores. And as Nick said, please hit the thumbs up button.
Nick, you need to
And
talk
like.
to whoever does your solicitation stuff for your trades, because they're all kinds of not right. Like, just whoever is sending this stuff out to people, man, you got to check with them, because I think maybe they're using like a non-Gregorian calendar. Because I was all excited for Karma to be in stores last week, and it wasn't. I had to check with you and check with Dan. And now it says Boys Volume 2, and it's actually Volume 1, and it's just driving me nuts. But no, I didn't read this. I'll tell you why. I read them when they came out the first time, and then I reread them when the show debuted. So I didn't feel like I needed to reread them, right? It's like that thing where you read Preacher once a year, and people are like, "There's a new Preacher trade out. What do you think of it?" Well, I don't know. I liked the first 7 times.
And you could always do it this way, too, in the prose version that you can get off of Amazon that I wrote, Name of the Game.
Yeah.
Which takes a deeper dive into the first graphic novel and how they went after the teenage group, Teenage Kicks. So you may have seen the series, the TV show, but this is actually a different story.
So no, I've always loved the boys. I'll be honest, I hate Herogasm, but the rest of it I love. Like when Dear Becky came out, I was going, I don't know if I want to jump back into this. And then Dear Becky was so damn good, I was like, okay, I had to forget why I was angry in the first place. And then I reread Herogasm and went, oh yeah. If someone were to find this in my comic book collection, I wouldn't want to have to explain that to people. So, no, I've always loved the boys. Garth Ennis for a long time was one of my favorite writers. And, you know, there's so many other great ones out there. He's still in the top of the list. He's still in the top 10 for me for sure. But Derek Robertson's art is what has always drawn me to this book, right? It's superhero-y without being superhero-y. It's pulpy without being pulpy. It's all of the things.
Yeah. So Derek Robertson can do no wrong. I mean, because before that he did Transmetropolitan, which is still one of the best series out there as well. You know, and then before that he was on New Warriors. The guy is just phenomenal.
You know, it was weird when I got this because I went ahead and read it, but it stopped after he sits on the bench with Huey for me.
Yeah, the what they sent out was only the first issue.
Okay.
But yeah, like I said, it's the trade itself, or the omnibus is 790 some odd pages. It's the first 30 issues.
I expect in season 4 of The Boys that Homelander will use the hardcover of this book to kill someone.
I mean, yeah, he and Soldier Boy will just be throwing them at each other.
Right.
We have a couple of volumes of this, though, because I really like it, too. You know, I like this, really like the show, and I've said it before, you can watch the show and not be spoiled on the comics and vice versa.
Yeah.
Like, they're so different, but still so good that you won't get spoiled on either one. I do believe wholeheartedly that the books are so much more vulgar than the show. But that's also because there's only so much you can put on television and there's so much you can get actors to do.
Right.
So, but I would tell you, if you've ever read anything from Garth Ennis, or you just want to see what I believe 98% of the population would be like if they had superpowers, this is definitely the book for you. Should definitely check it out.
Yeah, I got to admit that when I was doing the novelization, there were some scenes that I had to stop and go, how am I going to write that? I mean, Derek would draw it in a panel, and it's like, oh, that's just a panel, you know, it's a visual. I have to describe what's happening here in words, and that's tricky. So. All right, Mr. Kyle, are we ready to move on?
Maybe if Jay were checking his private messages.
Yep. I got you.
All right.
So next one we're going to do is Dungeons and Dragons Ravenloft from IDW. I will be the first one to admit that outside of what I've learned from Stranger Things about Dungeons and Dragons, I've never been into it myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, this book was really good. It left me with a lot of questions. One of them being that while it kind of felt like it was two stories, my conspiracy brain thinks that maybe they're more connected than they seem.
Yeah.
But then again, I could just be overthinking it. But I like when comics do that to me, though. I like when they're like, well, here, we're going to plant this here and plant this here. Let's see if you're right or wrong next time. Like I said, it was really good. I mean, naturally, you don't really have to know anything about Dungeons and Dragons, I don't think.
No.
Okay. To enjoy this. So, yeah, I would definitely pick it up. I'm excited to see where this one goes.
Yeah, I thought it was a good read. Ravenloft is always an interesting area of Dungeons and Dragons for me because it's kind of like the horror wing of Dungeons and Dragons. So where Dungeons and Dragons is more sword and sorcery, this one is more where you're going to get your vampires, your Dracula, your werewolves, your H.P. Lovecraft type stories. And this had a Reanimator feel to me in a lot of ways, like Herbert West. Yeah. So it kind of felt that connection to me when I was reading it. A little bit of that, a little Bride of Frankenstein. So this is definitely the monster area or like I said, the horror area of Dungeons and Dragons. And I've only been playing Dungeons and Dragons for a couple years now. My experience was Matt Hawkins from Top Gal called me up one day and said, or emailed me and said, hey, I'm putting together a D&D group. We're going to play out of a comic shop. Do you want to join? And then about 5 minutes later, he sent me another email. By the way, I'll still hire you for writing work. You don't feel you have to do this. But I'm like, no, I'm in. So I started playing with that group, and now I DM groups, including one that Matt's in now. Oh. So I really got deep into it and love it. It's a great game. It's a lot of fun. And it's just kind of interesting. Like I said, everything else is much more Lord of the Rings, the main D&D. This Ravenloft is much more in the like old Universal Monster, Hammer horror, H.P. Lovecraft area of it. So it's still all connected, but it's kind of like this wing over here, where there's also I can't remember the name of it, but there's also like a more of a steampunk area as well. So they've got these little kind of wings you can go into, and I thought they did a really good job with this story. It's a good jumping in place. So, but you don't need to know anything about Dungeons and Dragons or Ravenloft specifically to play it. It's just a lot of fun, or to read it. So,
cool. Alrighty, let's see. We go ahead and do Draculina number 4 from Dynamite.
I thought this one was really good. I was kind of ready to tap out last time, and I don't remember. I mean, it seems like it was a long time ago.
It feels like a long time ago, yeah.
Yeah, but I kind of like that they're doing the little power swap thing, and it's kind of like a twisted version of Shazam.
Yeah.
You know, but I thought this took an interesting turn, though I'm a little confused by the ending. Going to have to see where that goes. But overall, I kind of liked it, and I liked the art in it a lot.
Yeah, I'm the same. This was kind of a weird one for me. It felt kind of like part multiverse travel, part everything, everywhere, all at once, with the consciousness swapping. It felt like.
Yeah.
I want to say the only thing that was maybe a little off-putting to me was seeing Catherine, the vessel, in the actual Draculina outfit. It was just kind of like, I mean, I know there's nothing they could do about it because they swap bodies or whatever.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird though. Like it was just a little weird.
Yeah.
But I mean, other than that, this one, the story itself got me interested. The third one was starting to get me. The weirdest part about this one though is the flipping back and forth. You really got to pay attention because you can get lost super quick. With where you're at. But other than that, I thought it was pretty good. Kyle, what are your hateful thoughts on it?
Yeah, that was my one big thought. Right, is that I really wish this was linear.
Yeah, we definitely have to keep a better eye on the mouse, though.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Freaking mouse.
Yeah.
No. My big thought was it's a fine book, but if it was linear, it would be stronger. And I go back to it's something I've said about some Dynamite books of late, and they're out here, as the kids would say, they're out here doing too much. Draculina is the 4th or 5th book in the Vampirella brand line. You've got 7 or 8 Red Sonias. I have a really hard time keeping straight which books are which. Because we read so many of them, right? Like if it were up to me, I wouldn't read Draculina anymore. Because we have another book later that I find far more interesting. You know what I mean? Like, so I can't keep straight. Is this Draculina? Is it Vampirella? Is it this other Vampirella? Is it this other Vampirella? Is it this other, and in my brain, it all just melds together and it makes for one really confusing ass story. That being said, this book has gotten progressively better as it's gotten further on. Wasn't really a big fan of issue 1. Issue 2 got me more. Issue 3, I was like, okay, I could see where we're going. I can see where this is ramping up to. This book was very strong. And then, now I want to go down the hill with this book, kind of keep reading it. Yeah. But I have to sacrifice because I only have so much room in my brain.
Yeah.
Right.
And if I can't remember Draculina from Vampirella from, I don't know, Thumbelina, then I can't do that. So.
Oh, that's a nice hat.
Yeah, thanks.
I will be the chocolate chip in this mint ice cream. All right. Next up, though, is Dungeons and Dragons Ravenloft.
We did that one while you were gone.
But wait,
did you not go in order, Jay?
No, but I want to hear your thoughts on it anyway.
Didn't like.
Okay.
Do we do Grim Fairy Tales?
Not yet.
All right. Grim Fairy Tales. Grim Tales of Terror Quarterly, back to school #1. Can I just tell you, if you read this book and blast schools out for summer over and over and over again, your brain will hate you.
Did you do that?
Yes.
Okay.
My brain was unhappy. So I had to read it again after I turned off the Alice Cooper.
This one just didn't do much for me. It just felt like another collection of little horror stories,
Yeah. That's what so many of these are. This is becoming my complaint with so many of these things, right? Like we just talked about with Dynamite having to do out here doing too much. Mm-hmm. Zenoscope, I think, is out here doing too little. Everything is so standalone that I have no frame of reference for anything. Right? So now we've got this. It was an anthology book. I get it. But you're calling it a #1.
Yeah.
Is there a #2? No. So, it's one of those things is like my feeling is do a little more. Give me some setup. Give me some what's what I'm looking for? Give me something that makes me interested. Because as it is, it's just here's this book Figure it out. So,
well, obviously, what they need to do is bring me back to do more writing for them. You know.
yes, I will second that.
Yeah, third. I'm kind of on the opposite side of this one. I enjoyed the stories. I thought the last one was the weakest, but I also there's this weird thing going on right now with books like this, where I like when the bullies get what's coming to them, not the fact that they take these people that are meek and mild and give them powers or whatever, and then they're the ones that get punished. Like, I kind of want to go back to this person's getting bullied. Let something happen to the bullies again. Like, we're going down this. It's kind of the same thing with the boys. You give people powers, 98% of the time, they're going to misuse them.
Mm-hmm.
So if you give, the girl that's in this, you give her a magical egg that gives you confidence or whatever. Next thing you know, he's a jerk. So, it's just, like I said, I liked it. The last one was the weakest. I didn't have a problem with the art this time. But, I mean, I can see what y'all are saying where it's, it kind of feels like right now we're in Zenescope one-shots all the time. Like, there's no real, big story they're doing.
And that is their mentality. That is their business model right now. And again, there's nothing. I'm not gonna say there's nothing wrong with that, right? But the problem is that every month we get a book that I should be in for, and I'm just not, because it's, oh, now we're going back to this character, or oh, we're jumping over to this character, or oh, here's this thing that you have no previous context for, unless you read this book that came out 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's the frustrating part for me.
Yeah. By the way, Jay, I think Butcher said it best recently, what you were trying to say. And I can't say the full quote, but with great power comes the absolute certainty that you will turn into a right C word.
Tuesday.
Yeah, that seems right.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to Vampyverse the Vamp.
Second favorite book of the week.
Yep.
Really enjoyed this. I love the time period. And the fact it's a one-shot, I was like, cool. But see, now this is a Vampirella character I would happily see more of.
Yes.
I love that it's set in that whole World War II vibe. It just really clicked for me. I loved the character, the Carmen Vampiego. Nice.
No lie, Sean, I was going to say that.
I had Demon San Diego.
Yeah, this just really clicked for me. The looking for the artifact. This was fun. So Thompson Nagosky did a great job with this.
That is literally the same thing I thought, other than, where in the world is Demon San Diego when I've read the first couple pages.
Mm-hmm.
But, outside of that, I love the story. The action was good. The little bit of gore we got. I find that out of all the characters, out of Barbarella, Red Sonja, Draculina, Vampirella is the one I like the most. And same as what you said, I really like, and I think this is why I like the Betty Page books so much. I really like this time period where they put them in the 40s and they have them on this Indiana Jones-like adventure looking for artifacts. Or
you like the Girls of Dynamite in Pulp.
Yeah.
But I mean, this story, I'm sad that it's a one shot. I'm hoping somebody might see the potential and bring in this character and doing a full story with him. But I really like this one. Really liked it.
Yeah, in a world where you have characters that are this well thought out and this well like easily developed, like the Vamp and Vampyverse, like Betty Page from Alien Agenda, you can't afford to have characters that haven't been figured out. They become uninteresting. They become throwaways.
Yeah.
And I worry that, again, that's like I was talking about earlier. When you're out here doing too much, that means one of these characters isn't as well thought out as another. Or if it is, it doesn't play correctly because they look weak next to the strong guy. You know, if we all stand in line, Jay and I are going to look short compared to Dan, to go back to our earlier conversations. But send Jay to Japan and he's a giant. Send me to Japan and they think I'm a professional wrestler. Send Dan to Japan and they sound the Godzilla alarm.
Yeah.
They sound the Godzilla alarm. Like it's one of those kind of perspective things. And when you have a book like this lined up against a book like Draculina, it just doesn't feel as good as it might be. So I will say this. I want this to be a movie, a cartoon show, an animated series, a novelization, Daniel, a whatever we can do. Like, this is a character that I could see myself really being a fan of for a really long time.
Yeah.
This sort of half Mata Hari, half Betty Page, half Carmen Sandiego, you know, a little bit of Vampirella in there, and a whole lot of, like, I would say, you know, James Bond lady, you know, James Bond girl.
Yeah.
Like, thrown in. It could be a lot of fun. You could do a lot with it in a way very similar to like what they can do with The Rocketeer. Yep. Right? The Rocketeer has so many good bits from so many different things that you could just keep throwing scenarios at that character and they'll be interesting. Same here.
Yeah. By the way, now I have Alphaville's Big in Japan stuck in my head.
Is there something wrong with that?
No, it's a great song, but
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
All
no
right.
problem. Alphaville stuck in my head.
It's true. All right. This is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 130.
I'm
going to take a stab.
I'm just going to let
neither of y'all were super high on this book. Am I right?
No.
All right.
No.
So I know Dan didn't like it.
Actually, I thought it was all right, but I put it in here mainly for you.
Right. This is the end of the Punk Frog storyline.
Mm-hmm.
If you've not read every part of the Punk Frog storyline, this makes absolutely zero sense. Like, in a big way. And if you didn't really pay attention at the end of 129, you're just spitting into the wind. That being said, what they're doing, what Sophie Campbell is doing right now in the storytelling she's doing on Ninja Turtles, in setting up this this event that's coming this summer, which I believe is now going to cross over more IDW franchises, not just the Turtles, is, you know, this is, when you get to the Armageddon game, it'll all make sense what they've been setting up, right? There are far too many mutants, far too many people. It's all kind of collapsing in on each other. So for me, this book was a great way to tie up this Punk Frogs storyline without tying up the Punk Frog storyline so that they're available for the Apocalypse game, Armageddon game. Then the end of this book, we see a return of a character we haven't seen in 40 issues or so. That's a big Ninja Turtles character, which is kind of the, I believe, the leaping on point for Armageddon game. So if you if you can, before 131 comes out next month, try and go back and read from about 125 on. If you can't, that's fine. The Armageddon game should jump in where you like in a good starting point.
Yeah, those are my exact thoughts.
Which, by the way, we have to read 131 now, Dan.
I know.
I thought it was a good story. A lot of action. There was a few characters that I remember from the cartoon, like Genghis Frog. That's the only one I'll name. But speaking of which, a little off topic, but not really. Since Kyle is the Ninja Turtle guru here, was Usagi Yojimbo ever connected to the Turtles in any way?
They did some crossover books.
Okay.
In the old days. They were never, how do I put this? They were never in the same sort of, they exist in a world where they both exist, but they're different places, as did Flaming Carrot. But they never really kind of crossed over so much. Usagi would show up in a Turtles book, but not really until it got to the Archie days, and vice versa. So,
okay,
I'm just going to throw this out there real quick. This is the cover for 131 that Kevin is doing.
Oh, wow. That is horrifyingly cool.
Yeah. I'm trying to buy it.
This book did, though, no lie, it made me want to, like, I don't know why I don't have more Turtles comics than I do, because I like the Turtle comics, but this book made me want to go back. And I mean, not just to read this arc, it makes me want to go back and read, issue number 1 of this.
I just want to go back and watch Secret of the Ooze.
In other Ninja Turtles news, if you have a gaming system, pick up Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. It's newly released. It came out last week. It is Turtles in Time reimagined for a modern system. Side-scrolling fighter game with the Turtles, but this time you can play as Casey Jones, unlike Turtles in Time.
Sold.
Nice.
Sold.
Uh-huh. Sean knows. Sean's been listening to me talk about it. But no, I'm in love with this game. As somebody who has 16 long boxes of Turtles books and maybe another 4 bookshelves full of trades, it's kind of hard to overstate how much I love the Turtles. Like, if it weren't for the Turtles, I wouldn't be in this business. So, like, it's a whole thing. But I'm really excited for 131 for the Armageddon game. And I will say this. If it's not going to be Peter and Kevin, Sophie Campbell is my pick to keep writing the Turtles. So, all right. Hellboy and the BPRD, Old Man Whittier. This is a one-shot.
My favorite book of the week.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, right there with you.
It's definitely my 3rd favorite, maybe 4th. But it's because, like, the top of the top was real strong competition.
This is tied into a previous book that came out called The Whittier Legacy, and that gets my attention because I live the next city over is Whittier. The hospital.
Okay, yeah.
The hospital I was in was Whittier Hospital.
Wow.
So when I saw this, I'm like, oh yeah. But I for your thing for Turtles is me for Hellboy. Hellboy, I just eat it up. And for a long time, Dark Horse wasn't giving us Hellboy books. They just recently started giving us Hellboy books to review, and I'm like, yes. I'll take them all. Anything
Oh,
Mignola, just all over it.
If Turtles is number 1, okay,
Mhm.
Boris the Bear is number 2, Spider-Man is number 3, and Hellboy is number 4 for me. Like when we had a book that was, we had the Turtles, we had Hellboy, and we had a Power Rangers book.
Mhm.
Like every childhood itch got scratched this week. Like for reals. This book was a lot. I like the one shots that Mike is doing. I like the kind of, okay, let's take one mythos, so to speak,
Yeah.
and have him deal with that, as opposed to let's have him do a long ongoing story and bring in the whole team and all the characters and all the. Let's just focus on one thing, and let's remember how badass Hellboy is,
Mhm.
that he's not concerned about whatever magic or whatever demonic or whatever is happening.
Yeah.
And that's what this was. It's what the last book they did was.
Yeah. It's like the Law and Order format for Hellboy.
Yeah, that it's the Freak of the Week story.
Yeah.
I love this. This was also my favorite one we did this week. And usually I'm not the person that likes the asterisks where read more about it here. But this one, I'm like, I want to go out and read Whittier Legacy now. Like, I want to read that now.
Yeah.
I've always been a fan of Hellboy, and the one we read the last time I really liked, and this one was no different. Like, I hope we keep getting these.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah. By the way, I'm going to say this, and this is a huge compliment, I think. Normally, when these BPRD books come out, I want the Mignola cover. I think that's a pretty reasonable thing for someone who's a big fan of Mike Mignola.
Yeah.
The cover we're displaying is the Gabriel Hernandez Walta cover, and I actually like it way more. Like, to the point where I probably won't pick up the Mignola cover just because I think this one is so much cooler looking.
Yeah, I can see that.
Shout out to Gabriel Hernandez Walta for outplaying Mike Mignola.
Yeah, he's nailing it.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. To come in and basically do Hellboy with Mignola, but do the art on it, that's tough.
Did I tell you? Well, I haven't told you. I haven't seen Dan, and I didn't tell Jay. I came a whisker away from owning a San Diego Comics Presents #3, the first concept art for Hellboy.
Wow.
I mean, just a whisker away. I got outbid the last second on it. But shout out to Nancy McCann here on The Experience, Friday Night Live with Nancy McCann. She thinks she has a copy that she'll sell me. So
nice.
She has a #2 and she has a #4. Why wouldn't she have a #3? So, fingers crossed, I'll own first Hellboy, first concept art of Hellboy, and then a Hellboy #1 signed by Mignola.
Oh, I've got a convention sketch from Hellboy from Mignola.
I don't have any original art. I would kill, but all right, here we go. Next up, Power Rangers Unlimited #1, Countdown to Ruin. So I loved the story being about not Power Rangers for most of the story. Right? This is a friendship tale, a chosen family story. It felt very much like something that Fellini, or what's his name? Not Fellini. Favreau's buddy. Filoni, thank you. Something that Filoni would make a Star Wars story.
Yeah.
Really great. And I liked kind of the way it came down at the end. I think it was a good way to tie up what appears to be a one-off. This is a one-shot. So it ties it up really well.
When I read this, the first thing I was like, this is a badass story. And up until joining the show, the only other Power Rangers that I read was when Frank Gogol did, I think it was Power Rangers Unlimited Edge of Darkness. That was the first one I ever read. And while I liked, the goofy Power Rangers versus Godzilla one that we've read, I tend to lean more towards these unlimited ones. And this story was it was heavy, it was heartbreaking, and I know you said it's a one shot, but I kind of hope to revisit this character somewhere down the line.
Well, I think with the title Countdown to Ruin, it might be a setup for something.
Right.
Yeah.
Clearly, Marguerite Bennett is building a world.
Yeah.
And by the way, both Andros and Corone are kind of known entities in the Power Rangers universe a little bit. So, like, it would make sense that we'll see them again in a more ongoing manner. And then, Sean, did anybody else notice the art change at the end kind of suddenly? Yes. But I thought that was a change in the art style to change as a change in perspective. Like as the narrator of the story perspective changed, so did the art.
I don't have a lot of history with the Power Rangers. I think the only book I ever read before was the one with the Godzilla we just did. I was never a big fan of the show. I'm older than both of you, so when it was big, I was already like in high school, but I did like this. It had a good read to it. I didn't realize these characters were established, but so for me, it just seemed like these were two new characters that we were learning about that go on to become Power Rangers, and I thought that was interesting.
Well, and the thing is this may be their first time in comics. These Andros existed in one of the later versions of the show. It may have even been a direct to video kind of situation. As I don't want to spoil the book, but as what you see at the end with that character.
Yeah.
So it becomes one of those things that's like, okay, this is a good way to introduce them to the comic world. So,
okay.
All right. Let's. This is my second favorite book this week. Is Kanto.
Yes.
Jay, why don't you go ahead and start?
Man, what can I say about this book? So Monday we actually had David Boer and Drew Zucker on Talking Shop with Miss Jen. It was so great to hear them talk about this book. And when I found out we were reading it, I was kind of over the moon about it. I had very high expectations for it because I actually bought the first volume of Kanto not too long ago. Loved it. Beautiful, beautiful story. And this one didn't disappoint me at all. I thought the stories that were told within the stories were really good. And I told Jen, I said, we're adding this to our pool box. This was Kanto is we've read a bunch of things from David. Kanto is my favorite thing he's done. Like this story is beautiful, and I can't wait for more. I cannot.
I think it's important to note that this was his original creator-owned thing, right? Like everything else that we found from David Boer has come from the success of Kanto. It's the thing that got him. I don't know. I don't want to say it's the thing that got him discovered, but it's the thing that most people knew of first. So, very interesting.
Yeah. Read Kanto. If you've never read the original Kanto, read it. It is so good.
What did you think, Dan?
I enjoyed it. I thought it felt a little been there, done that to me. The concept, the meeting the bard on the bridge, having to tell the story to cross it. But that said, it's not a bad trope to use, not a bad vehicle to present these stories. And I thought the individual tales were a lot of fun. So, and the art's gorgeous. I mean, it is such a fun little world that they've got going here that it's nice to pop into every once in a while. IDW didn't actually send out any notifications for their books this week. So I just realized we didn't have any IDW books. So I found an older one and got to where they keep their books and tracked it down. I knew there was something there to grab. So that's why I grabbed Kanto. So I had to hunt this one down.
Great choice.
It was well worth it.
Yeah. Other things that are worth noting, and I say this kind of recognizing what I'm doing here. David and Drew are some of the few creators who are really starting to capitalize on Whatnot and some of the things that we're doing here and other things. And so there are covers that we got to see in our preview that are only available through them on Whatnot. There's San Diego Comic-Con exclusives. There are some really fun parody covers for this book that if you can get your hands on, you should. There's a Star Wars. There's a TMNT Last Ronin. There's some really cool. They did some really cool stuff in terms of parody cover for this book. But my thought on this book is what is your name? This is very Tim the Enchanter.
Yes, that's one of the things I thought of.
It's if at some point they don't ask Kanto the airspeed, velocity of an unladen swallow,
African or European?
Well, right, that has to be Kanto's response. But if they don't, I'm going to send both of them a text and be like, really?
Great. So
now no, I thoroughly, I've always enjoyed Kanto. I thoroughly enjoyed this. David Boer and Drew Zucker are two of the genuinely nicest guys in the business. I wasn't sure Jen was going to be back yesterday, so we didn't have anybody booked for Talking Shop. We just kind of had some loose concepts of people we could text in the last second. And I go, David Boer and Drew Zucker have a Kanto volume out, and she goes, I'm on it. Miss Jen texts them, and they both just dropped everything in the middle of their day and gave her a whole hour. Yeah. Like, it's hard to get creators who are as busy as they are, who are launching a third volume of their book, to do that.
Yeah.
But these are just great people who every time hey, can we have you on to talk about this thing? Hey, we're doing this event. Would you come on and talk? They were here. And so big shout out to David Boer and Drew Zucker for being supporters of us, supporters of local comic shops, and great creators. So, buy Kanto. Like, so even if you don't like it, buy it anyway, because you're supporting the right kind of people.
I have to rebuy it. Mine fell apart, but it would be worth it. It would be worth it.
Right. So, my favorite book this week.
You're a liar.
What?
You're a liar. Please don't talk. No.
Yeah.
Oh.
And here's why. I'm going to tell you why. Right? I've been pushing particularly hard here at work and on other stuff, and this was just a fun, stupid, awful romp that let me shut my brain off and just read a comic book. Like I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to try and figure out the nuance of the story. I didn't have to do anything. This was just me sitting, reading a comic book and going, this is the goofiest shit. And I loved it.
All right. I take it back then. I take it back.
Like, normally it would have been Kanto or it would have been The Vamp or one of those would have been my pick, right? But this book hit me in such a way this week that I just sat on the couch and laughed the whole time.
I love the idea of Giles and Spike bowling That's what did it for me. Just the two of them both. Spike bowling itself, just right there. You know,
I want the Librarian Abides T-shirt, like, you know, like them. That's the most messed up version of, you know, of the Big Lebowski that there is, and you know, like, and this is such a Saved by the Bell, like, you know, don't be a conformist storyline that, like, I knew 5 minutes in what was going to happen. You know, 5 panels in, I'm like, all right, we're good. I'm done. Like, I know what's going to happen, so I can just sit back and enjoy this. So,
hey, I spent the afternoon defending Morbius, so you can have this.
Yeah. if I look at it that way, yeah. I'll tell you what upset me most about this. When I saw the title, and this is before looking at the cover or anything, I saw the title. I was hoping that they finally did one based off the movie. And when I saw it was just another Buffy book, I was a little let down. But if I think of it as you did, where you just shut your brain off and read it, I mean, this thing goes to the cliche well so many times. This book was made in the 90s. I believe that. It was made in the 90s and just lost there, and somebody recently found it. I did notice something. I don't know if either one of y'all have ever watched Letterkenny.
No.
just a very little bit.
There are 2 hockey players in Letterkenny named Riley and Jonesy. The 2 rollerblading guys in here look exactly like the 2 of them from that show.
Oh, I could believe it. Yeah, I watched about 5 minutes of Leonard Kenny. Went no, can't do it.
See, I like Letterkenny the same way I like Little Mosque on the Prairie and Corner Gas, and This Hour Only Has 22 Minutes, and I'm a real big fan of Canadian sitcoms. So Letterkenny kind of hits me in a sweet spot. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's. I will stand up for this book in that sense that I'm normally the guy here who's like, I really loved the book that made everybody else want to kill themselves. Right? Like I'm that's who I am in this group, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes you need the Lady Ghostbusters or, you know, an episode of Saved by the Bell or Friends reruns or whatever to just take you away from the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all have that.
Right. I mean,
I watch old reruns of Mannix, so yeah, I get it.
Right. It's and that's totally what I was looking for this week in comic books, right? Like if we would have had an Archie book, that would have been my favorite book. Like because it's just so far out of the realm of what I'm normally into that it lets me turn the part of me off that is always going, this is deep, this is dark, this is groundbreaking, this is whatever. And just be like, hey, you know what? Jughead's jalopy sprung a leak and he had to plug it with a cheeseburger.
I can probably make Archie books happen.
I would love Archie books.
Okay, I get them on a different email and I forget about them, but I do get them. So
yeah,
I'll make a conscious effort to look for Archie again.
Yeah, no, it's you know, so that's why that book hit me, right? Like I'm getting off of this show and probably working all night to try and meet a deadline that's tomorrow. So to take a couple hours this afternoon and read comics was great. And to take an hour this evening and talk to you guys is great. I don't need Rain in number 3 this week. I just couldn't handle it.
By the way, I did have one question. How come we didn't get a copy of Good Boy number 2?
Source Point is no longer sending anything past number 1. Yeah,
but aren't we like in with those guys?
Yes, but SourcePoint is no longer sending anything past number 1. That may change. That may just be a for the moment situation, as there's some behind the scenes stuff happening, and there's just the person who used to send me emails is not in that department anymore. They've moved up, and there's somebody new coming. You know what I mean? It's like, they might just be having to figure their own crap out for a minute.
Okay.
What if one of us had PDFs from back in the campaign?
We could have read them. I mean, I have them too, but I'm trying to respect what Travis at SourcePoint has told me.
Oh, well, I don't talk to Travis. I don't know.
Right. No, I understand. We could have read them. I mean, you already got them. We ain't gonna read them. But no, it's the same with Aftershock, right? Like, they for a long time were sending me physical copies of books ahead of time to review. That ain't a thing anymore. So trying to figure out some of these as people transition, as shortages happen, as things, you know.
So what you're saying, if anything happens to me, the show's over.
If anything happens to you, no, I will just have to hack your email.
Like if I leave the show, I still have to get you books, don't I?
It would be certainly helpful. But we are now getting stuff from Mad Cave. We didn't have Nottingham number 8 last week because I wasn't here and I forgot to send it to you guys. But I will we can maybe do that one on a week when we have some shortness. If we've got less books one week, we can add that one in to catch up.
Okay.
And we will start getting Red 5 soon.
Cool.
So
nice.
Yep. That was the book I thought I was hoping we would get and we didn't, was Ballad of Ronin number 2 from Action Lab.
Yeah, nothing in my email. It was a very light week.
Yeah. No, and sometimes that happens, y'all.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes we're going, well, let's reread The Boys for the 9th time because, well, it's out and it's out. So.
Yeah. Oh, no, I just figured it was topical and it was a good thing to plug, you know?
Yeah.
But there is something that Jay had wanted to talk about that we haven't gotten to yet. So I'm going to do this and give Jay the floor.
All right. So, one of my favorite Kickstarter comics dropped their campaign today. They funded first day. This was their first campaign to do that. And it's a book called Hocus Hocus. And this is chapter 4. And I'm going to put the link to the Kickstarter in the chat here. Now, basic elevator pitch of this. A magician sells his soul to a demon for actual magical powers, gets bored with them, and wants his soul back. And this is his adventure of getting his soul back. I love this book, y'all. I have backed it. Our house has backed it since the very first one. It's so good. They're getting picked up by SourcePoint. So all of these, I don't know when exactly they're going to release through SourcePoint, but they're going to be in comic shops soon. Any comic book retailers out there, they have a retailer tier. Make sure you check that out. I promise you guys, if you back this book, you will not. They have 2 of them. If you back this book and show your customers, they will buy it. It is such a good book. But like I said, the link is right there in the chat, right there.
Cool.
Yeah, I when I went there earlier to look and check on the retailer tiers, like I told you I was gonna, I had to pick which one I was gonna back at because there's 2, one for the trades and one for the individual issue. So,
and Ed Weird, you're exactly right. That is also how they describe it. Sounds a lot like Faust.
Faustian.
Yeah.
Yes. Cool. I'll have to check it out. I've seen some posts about it in my Facebook feed. So
probably Jay. I think Jay and Sean are like their hype team.
Well, who's the creative team for that?
This guy, Alan Dunford, who's here every week. By the way, Alan, we love it that you show up. We love it when creators show up. If you want to send us PDFs, we'll read the books for the show. I'm sure Jay has them already. But
I have things
You
I'm
know.
not supposed to have too, but
Right. No, it's one of those things is that we always love when creators show up, and these guys, Sean and Jay, since I've known them, have been hyped about this project. So it's it's been fun to kind of watch it flourish.
Cool.
but it's Alan Dunford, Will Radford are the writers. Dave Lentz is the letter and designer. Kit Wallace has done covers for him. Brian Belando does the art. Jason Smith does the colors. So it's a stacked team. They're really good. They're going to blow up.
And because of Dave, I think it's because Dave's involved. They get that 4-color Fiends logo from Source Point Press, which is becoming a very sought after imprint over there. So
super happy.
Just if that gives you any indication as to how good it is.
Yep.
So. All right. And if you backed Karma or didn't back Karma, Dan's Kickstarter book, it's out in September. Not like Previews World and other things said last week.
Get it. It's so good. Dan did a fantastic job on it, honestly.
Thank you.
I finally deleted the PDF that Dan sent me way back when because I have my copy of the book, so I don't need the PDF if I want to reread it. So, all right, guys, go over and back. Pocus Hocus. The link is in the comments. bit.ly/Pocus Hocus 4. Don't spell it wrong. It makes it harder to find. It's Pocus, then Hocus, not the other way around.
Yeah.
Edward, it's pretty family friendly.
4. Yeah.
All right, guys. It was nice to be back with you guys this week.
Good to have you back, man.
Yeah. It gives us somebody else to talk to other than us. And that's always good. All right. So for Dan, and Jay, I've been Kyle. This has been In Stores This Week. Go out tomorrow and find a local comic shop near you, or there were some delays and some shipping again this week. Go out at some point this week and find a local comic shop near you and buy things from them. $5 a week really does help your comic shop more than you would know. If you don't know where a local comic shop is nearby to you, go to comicshoplocator.com. Type in the area code, zip code of the area where you are, and it will tell you where local comic shops are. Give them a buzz before you head over because sometimes hours change, staffing, all those kind of things. But head over to a local comic shop near you. If you're traveling, it helps you to find a local comic shop. I may or may not be in Houston in 2 weeks. I will have to use Comic Shop Locator to find stores that aren't Miss Jen's.
There are no stores but Miss Jen's.
Well, but it's one of those things. So it's been a great tool to find shops wherever you are. When I was in DC not that long ago, I was able to find the closest Third Eye Comics location to me. When I go to Baltimore, I'm able to find comic shops in it's great. So head over to comicshoplocator.com, find comic shops nearby to you, and visit them. So for Dan, and Jay, I've been Kyle. I really am going to end the show this time.
Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.